It's what I was saying. I don't think she actually prays, and if she does, she has really good makeup to cover up the burn marks.
Whoever her makeup artist is,
Whoever does her makeup
not
is
getting paid enough. Welcome to the Naked Apple.
Welcome.
So, here we are.
Yeah.
We did some show prep before the show, like any good podcasting people should do, and like any terrible podcaster type people, we did it barely before the show. That's not entirely.
That's not entirely. We've been looking at stuff for a while,
and then we have an hour or so before we start this.
Got together to compile it and organize it. Last hour
try to
before.
make it ebb and flow, though we never follow our ebb and flow. We go with the flow.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys have heard him try to read a script, so
and you've heard him try to read a script.
There's that.
There's that. Goes both ways. My face.
Yeah, I'm much more accurate in this house than I was in the other one.
It'll be interesting what the new house is like.
It will be. It will be. Just a couple more weeks.
Probably the lighting.
Yeah, probably. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Let's we got a ton of stuff. Like it might be a two-parter amount of stuff.
Maybe. We have a lot. A lot.
Most definitely will.
We're sitting at over 22 tabs, and that's not even all of the things.
And that's not counting what's on the hard drive that I have, because I made some stuff, I downloaded stuff, and I compiled stuff.
Oh, that's right. You made a thing.
I made a thing.
You made a thing. Where does that one go?
It goes. That's gonna be fun. It goes in one of the slots that doesn't have a link next to it, and or parentheses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's the one that has the parentheses there with the link, so that's on the drive, and then there's the one without a link. Up near the top.
I see that. Well, I guess we should start off with making ourselves happy before we make ourselves mad.
You're going to want to listen real close to your daily dose of vitamins.
Yes, you're gonna need your vitamin B for this.
Soak these in
for this episode, because this is gonna get a little.
Yeah, because over the weekend, I was ready to do bad things to people.
It's bad.
So instead of actually physically taking it out on people, I made a thing and compiled data to prove my point. Because that's the modern day equivalent of sitting down, fashioning a whip, and then flipping over money changers tables.
Whip out of rose thorns, is that?
Yeah. When asked what would Jesus do, I respond with fashioning a whip and flipping over tables isn't outside the realm of possibilities.
Not outside of the realm of possibilities. And chasing people out of the temple. That's also a fun one. Alrighty. Well, let's go to the vitamin B then. Vitamin B. Welcome to the Vitamin B. We have a couple of good stories for you today. Starting off, in order to appeal to suburban Christian women, vaccine to be distributed through a pyramid scheme.
Excellent.
Yes.
What all better those way to get it than to recommend it to 5 other friends?
Exactly. And you know it's legit because the wealth trickles down.
It trickles down.
Trickles down.
The more you have underneath you, the more immune you become.
That's right. That is right.
If that's not in the article, that is a missed opportunity.
It is so good. On the political front, the Trump administration adds "Who's your favorite president?" to citizenship test, which
Challenge
is
it.
fantastic.
I dare them to challenge
I believe that anybody that says Franklin Delano Roosevelt should immediately have their green card revoked.
And anyone who says Woodrow Wilson should be treated like any good communist and given a nice helicopter ride.
Okay. That's,
They don't land.
they don't land.
Well, they land, just not in the helicopter.
He's going to say, over the Grand Canyon?
Yeah.
Well, we got one more here. Biden to defeat skin cancer by ordering Americans to avoid all sunlight for 100 days.
No better way to fight
No
cancer.
better
than
way to
have-
fight cancer than to ignore all that life has to offer you.
And to turn 300 million people into albinos.
Ah, yes. Because being an albino means you're immune to the sun.
Yes. Wait.
I
don't think that's
How do you explain Irish people then?
haggis and
So this has been your vitamin B.
we're probably gonna have to take a couple of vitamin breaks.
we
throughout all
might
of
have
this.
to. Just to keep from losing our hair from tearing it
Is it
out.
possible to have them as a sponsor?
I wish.
Maybe if we have more than 10 people consistently listening, we can.
Maybe.
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 And to
I
you 10
mean-
people, thank you. Seriously,
Yes.
thank you. Because if it was 0, it'd be very hard to keep doing this.
It would be.
If it was 1 or 2, it would still be very hard because that would mean it's one of us and or our spouses.
Then the question would be, which one of us and or our spouses
Is not
isn't
listening.
listening?
My defense is I edit and publish all this. I listened to it already multiple times.
Well, and I'm sitting here recording it, so why would I need to re-listen to it?
Pretty much.
I actually do re-listen to them pretty consistently. All right, so on to the not vitamin B.
Onto the vitamin Rona. Or something like that.
Speaking of Rona.
The CCP Rona.
Speaking of Rona and catching a disease, Biden.
All right, thanks for tuning in.
That's it. Yeah, that's all we got. Done. So, did you actually see the clip of this? I think this is the first one you had on the list, right?
Yeah.
Did you actually see the clip of this conversation they had?
Yes, I did.
I think this was with Jake Tapper, wasn't it? Yeah, it was.
I should
With
have it
Jake Tapper.
pulled up somewhere. There it is. So let's see if I can make it happen, Captain.
Make it a thing.
But all kidding aside,
The first lady to be told me she holds them for you.
yes, she does. But not
That
with
would be
the
his
she's
balls in a
because
jar?
She and Kamala have become friends.
Yeah.
But all kidding aside,
Yeah.
it's a matter of
Gross.
the thing. We are simpatico on our philosophy of government and simpatico on how we want.
Before he gets to the punchline, did we or did we not say what he's about to say?
I believe we have been saying what he's about to say for a while.
Okay. All right.
In fact, I believe that we especially toted it after Nancy Pelosi's 25th Amendment thing.
For you loyal listeners, I'm sure you know what we're talking about already.
Want to approach these issues that we're facing. And so I don't have, and when we disagree, it'll be just like, so far, it's been just like when Barack and I did. It's in private. She'll say, I think we should do A, B, C, or D. And I'll say, I like A, don't like B and C. And let's go, okay. And like I told Barack, if I reach something where there's a fundamental disagreement we have based on a moral principle, I'll develop some disease and say I have to resign. We don't have that. We haven't, and we discussed at length our views
Length.
on foreign
There's
policy,
a
on
G in
domestic
there.
policy,
There
on
is a
intelligence.
G.
And the great thing is she has
Length,
a background in the Senate
strength.
on intelligence, the Intelligence Committee. She has a background in the Senate.
She has a
on-
background in
Okay,
intelligence.
Whatever, you're done. I'm tired of looking at her face. It makes me feel like I'm listening to Hillary Clinton's voice.
It's not far off.
He'll develop
You know-
a disease if there's a fundamental disagreement between.
It's funny because I've seen a lot of people commenting on this that are like, well, he was talking about what he would recommend she do. No, stop, shut up. You're putting words in his mouth. That is not what he said.
Right.
His exact words were, I will contract some kind of disease
and
and resign.
What's ironic about what you just said is if they're saying, well, he just misspoke there. What he meant to say was, so you're admitting that he has a mental disease.
Right?
Catch him in that snare. Yeah. And then also speaking of Biden, so do you want to do your stuff now or later? Or later?
We could do it now. I mean, I just kind of tacked it on at the end of your stuff. You got two things on, was it Michigan now?
Yeah, that leads into me getting upset and flipping over money changers' tables.
Okay. I mean, not that my stuff is much better.
Valid.
My stuff gets into me being upset and
All right, we'll
flipping over money changers.
We'll take turns then.
Stop. So I mean, we could split mine, so we could do the
So you can-
two Breitbart pieces,
then
and
you
then
can kinda
yours,
take a
and then
break.
yeah. So I mean, the Breitbart ones I figured were a little bit more calm news.
Fair.
You know.
Okay. All right. I like this.
So,
I like where this is going.
So we could be angry, then we could be calm, then we could be angry, or we could be calm, and then we could just be really angry for a long time. So it's however you
Like-
want to split that up.
like I said, our show prep is immaculate.
Perfectly timed and executed. None.
People tell us all the time.
In fact,
your prep for the show is amazing.
We are going to be putting out a new citizenship questionnaire that asks you what your favorite podcast is and why it is The Naked Apple.
Besides The Naked Apple, what's your favorite podcast?
Right.
So which one do you want?
Let's do yours first, and then do the Breitbart pieces, and then my other two.
Mine first.
The Michigan.
All right. Well, okay. So I have a link, but I'm not pulling it up because it's 5 hours of snore fest, really. So the media likes to say, you know, there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. No evidence of that. Blah blah blah. It's baseless, is some of what they say. But last I checked, an affidavit, which is
Sworn testimony.
sworn testimony. So sworn testimony. So in the court, you take an
Oath. Yes. It would
that you swear to
tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You can't handle the truth. There, finished it. So what that means this is, I know the people who listen to us are smart enough to figure that out, but for the mainstream media, what that means is that if they're lying, they go to jail.
If it's proven that they're lying.
If it's proven that they're lying.
Which, funny, little side story on that, is the real reason why Bill Clinton was impeached. It wasn't because he was getting BJs under the table in the Oval Office. It's because he lied about it.
He lied to Congress about it under
Oath.
So you can lie to the news all you want.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Okay, I did.
More than a few times. You didn't let me finish my sentences. More than a few times. I mean, have you seen my wife? Can you blame me?
Can you blame
Really? Can you blame me? Walk a mile in my shoes and tell me.
I can because you chose her. You and your sexy phone. So anyway, so all across the states in question, Michigan, Georgia, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, there's been people with sworn affidavits, 250 some odd pages in one state, 100 some odd pages in another state, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people across the country.
Thousands. We are in the thousands.
Across just these states, basically. So the Trump campaign was focusing on 4 states, but as a whole, there's people in Nevada, people in Arizona, people in
Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania.
They're outside of the Trump campaign are also coming forward with sworn affidavits, signing papers saying, "This is what I saw that seems fraudulent and wrong, and if I'm wrong, I will go to jail."
I stand behind my statement so much I'm willing to go to jail if you can prove me wrong.
So this is just one example of how the media is covering it. This is from Business Insider via MSN. Michigan State Representative confirms Rudy Giuliani farted during an election hearing.
I mean,
It's like, oh okay, so yeah, haha, that's funny and embarrassing for Rudy Giuliani. Let's see some of the key points they have from the Michigan hearing. After a viral video appeared to show Rudy Giuliani experiencing flatulence during a Michigan election hearing on Wednesday, a state lawmaker has chimed in to say the fart was real.
wow.
Next point. There were 2 instances during this hearing in which President Donald Trump's personal attorney appears to pass gas. Point number 3. Democrat State Rep Darren Kemble said both farts did indeed happen and were not edited in the video. Point number 4. Kemble tweeted Friday about how he was featured in the video clip of the incident shown on ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live on Thursday night. Oh, good. Jimmy Kimmel covered Michigan State hearing.
I mean, it's funny and everything, but
Yeah. It would be funny if they also pointed out what was said in the hearing.
actually going on in the hearing?
In normal times, using our time and taxpayer dollars to investigate illegitimate claims of election fraud would be wasteful. But in the middle of a pandemic, it's cowardly and cruel, told Insider. So the Democrats spending 2.5 to 4 years to try to impeach Donald Trump on Russian meddling with the election and all the money associated with that to come up with nothing. Well, he was impeached in the House. They had 0
Zip.
evidence. In fact, they had so little evidence that we had to wait until this year to find out from the FBI and from the CIA and from White House memos from the Obama administration that it was all a plant by the Hillary Clinton campaign, paid for by the Democratic Party, and
To draw attention away from the fact that she deleted emails and destroyed government property.
and Joe Biden and Barack Obama were involved.
Interesting.
That's what we found out from that thing. Also, fun fact, one of the FBI agents has pled guilty to altering data in an email to show that I can't remember exactly what the guy's name was, but the guy was a CIA informant in the Trump campaign, and he changed the email so it was not a source, so that the FBI could use FISA warrants to spy on the Trump campaign. And the FBI agent that did that pled guilty. But there's no evidence that it was this big finagled thing. It's all a conspiracy.
Fall guy.
Yes, sir. But
Sorry, the Rona affected me for a minute.
in here you'll find they say something about baseless something or other.
Baseless news reporting.
That's right. Something like that. I don't know. I don't care. But they don't care either, because in that hearing you have a bunch of people saying that, they are doing that. They saw these things happen. One lady saying that SNL actually made fun of her. One lady saying that she can't find a job now. Her family has disowned her. Her friends have distanced themselves from her. She's lost everything because she was willing to come forward and testify at this. And she points out to one of the senators in the hearing there, one of the state senators. She says to him, "I signed a paper that says if I'm lying, I will go to jail. Did you sign one of those?"
Would you sign one of those?
He did not respond. So there's that. The media does not care about the integrity of this election, even though if you go back into the Wayback Machine of Google pre-2020, you will find article after article after article after article of Nancy Pelosi, of Elizabeth Warren, of Bernie Sanders, of pick a Democrat who is concerned about Dominion voting machines, about whatever that other place is, the other...
You don't even have to go that far back. Just go back to the debates when they were saying, under no circumstances can anybody declare victory until all of the votes are certified. And then 3 days after Election Day, Biden won!
Yeah. It could
Biden won!
Good. Gross. For those that only listen.
You're welcome.
For those that only listen, you might want to keep it that way for this episode. My eyes just got sexually assaulted by Mike. It was grotesque.
It was a distraction to keep everybody from seeing.
Yeah, I can't see anymore. So now it's your turn.
Exactly.
So now it's your turn.
We'll go into some less unhappy news. Texas being Texas today did something great.
Besides being Texas.
Besides being Texas, they decided to bring a court case to the Supreme Court against Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin on the grounds that they violate the Constitution. And I love the way that this article is worded, because like the headline is they sue them at the Supreme Court over election rules, right?
Right.
But then the very first line is just hilarious, because it's like, the state of Texas filed a lawsuit directly with the U.S. Supreme Court shortly before midnight on Monday, challenging the election procedures in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin on the grounds that they violate the Constitution, which the first time I read that, I was like, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin violate the Constitution by... like existing? Is that what he was going for there?
I mean,
it was just a funny way they worded it. But no, it's really interesting, because essentially they're stating that the 4 states, all of them had rules and things about the election that changed right before the election. And a lot of their rules violate not only their own state constitutions, but the actual Constitution of the United States.
And it's not that they're just saying they did this. They say, governor of this state did this, this, and this without consulting the legislature, which in the Constitution, if a little refresher here, the Constitution says that state legislatures are the ones that control the elections in the individual states. So any election law, whatever, that's passed has to go through the state legislature. Has to. And Texas is pointing out to the Supreme Court, Michigan had this judge that did this, this, and this without it going through the legislature. Pennsylvania had this judge and this governor that did this, this, and this without the legislature. They point it all out in the case of everything they're going after. They're not going after ballots were illegal, this was illegal. They're just going straight for unconstitutional.
Yeah. So, and I went with the Breitbart story on this for both this one and the follow-up story because Breitbart was the one, I believe, that broke this story this morning. And they have the actual documents from the court case. So there
it is. Yep.
They have the actual, like the whole actual lawsuit and everything in writing. And so I guess the brief summary of the
92 pages there, 44 pages there.
So the brief summary of the lawsuit basically says certain officials in the defendant states presented the pandemic as the justification for ignoring state laws regarding absentee and mail-in voting. The defendant states flooded their citizenry with tens of millions of ballot applications and ballots and derogation of statutory controls as to how they are lawfully received, evaluated, and counted. Whether well-intentioned or not, these unconstitutional acts had the same uniform effect. They made the 2020 election less secure in the defendant states. Those changes are inconsistent with relevant state laws and were made by non-legislative entities without any consent by the state legislatures. The acts of these officials thus directly violated the Constitution. And then this case presents a question of law. Did the defendant states violate the Electors Clause by taking non-legislative actions to change the election rules that would govern the appointment of presidential electors? These non-legislative changes to the defendant states' election laws facilitated the casting and counting of ballots in violation of state law, which in turn violated the Electors Clause of Article 2. Section 1, Clause 2 of the U.S. Constitution. By these unlawful acts, the defendant states have not only tainted the integrity of their own citizens' votes, but their actions have also debased the votes of citizens in plaintiff state and other states that remained loyal to the Constitution. So this case is really interesting because I believe it is the first time in U.S. history that a state has sued other states over election stuff, which... for those of you that don't know, this is actually completely above board. Texas would go straight to the Supreme Court with this because the Supreme Court, based on Article 3, I believe, is the court of first impression, which just means it has original jurisdiction on anything between two states, two or more states.
Anything that happens between states goes straight to the Supreme Court because it becomes a federal issue at that point.
So,
yeah. And so on paper, 100% agree with Texas. 100% agree. In practicality, there's Roberts on the court who did exactly what they're accusing some of these judges of doing and rewrote the law that gave us Obamacare.
Right.
In order for it to pass the Supreme Court.
In all regards on that, Roberts was out of line and actually did an unconstitutional thing, which is why we don't like Roberts.
No.
He's trust him. A terrible judge.
I trust him less far than I can throw him.
Yes. Which still isn't that far.
It's in the negatives.
So this brings us into the next article, which is also from Breitbart, which was Georgia's kind of response to the Texas allegations.
They agree with Texas, right?
Oh, of course they do. I mean, why wouldn't you agree with somebody who's trying to sue you? But what I love about it is that they don't actually state anything that is like specifically, wrong. they're just like
SCOTUS challenge constitutionally, legally, and factually wrong. Did I get that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
It's like Texas is like, okay, look, there's some shenanigans going over there. This, and this happened, and this guy, and this guy did it. And Georgia's like, I know you are, but what am I?
I am rubber, you are glue.
Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you.
Holla.
Is literally the only argument they give is it was constitutionally and factually and legally wrong. That's it.
And your reasoning behind that is...
I read what you said about me and I disagree.
I don't like it one bit.
Your Honor, I object. And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case.
Overruled.
Good call.
Exactly.
So that's pretty much all this article states. This is Georgia was like, party foul. I mean, I can't prove you wrong, but party foul.
On what grounds? I don't know. I don't know.
And I mean, you know, I'm all for advocating innocent until proven guilty, but when somebody comes at you with like documented facts and things like, here's the evidence.
This is the law that was broken.
You
This
gotta
is how
do.
it was broken, and this is who did it.
You gotta do a little better than with me. Cop pulls the doobie out of your pocket and holds it up. That's not mine.
It's like,
It's not mine.
remember, this is the state that had
Like-
election officials kick people out of the counting area, including the press, because a water pipe broke.
The water pipe didn't break.
Well, they told people they were done counting for the night, and they didn't tell them.
Which
to
is
go
the
home.
same thing as telling them to go home.
And what was pulled out from under the tables was not suitcases of
Oh, it was
ballots.
It was ballot boxes, which look an awful lot like suitcases in the fact that they have a zipper, a wheel, and a handle.
If you go back and watch the timeline of all that, it's embarrassing for them, for Georgia, and for the Georgia officials, and it's embarrassing for the news that covered it, because they went along with it of, oh, water pipe broke, they're done counting for the night, and everyone's gone. The water pipe actually didn't break. Okay, well, they told everyone they were done counting and told everyone they need to go home. We didn't tell everyone they need to go home. Okay, well, you said you were done counting, so and then the with the suitcase things, it wasn't suitcases. Okay, well, still, it's some sort of containers of ballots that you pulled out from the table after everyone leaves, and then you proceed to count them. That's just standard procedure.
It's standard procedure to count ballots without any supervision or poll watchers present, because that's actually illegal.
And to
So-
hide them until you can do that.
Right?
It's standard procedure. It can be standard procedure all you want. It's still illegal. Just because you've done it a lot.
That's like saying I've been money laundering for 15 years.
I would take that as
It's an excuse for money laundering.
I would take that as they're admitting that they've been doing this for years.
Right?
That's standard procedure. So you've done this a lot? Yeah, all the time. Are you sure that's... Well, the Ted Cruz approach to what we covered last week or the week before. Are you sure that's how you want to answer?
Are you lying under oath, or did Comey lie under oath?
Exactly.
I don't think either one of us would know. Are you lying under oath, or did Comey lie under oath? Answer the question, because you're contradicting each other. Which, I mean, there's no good segue into this next part.
No, there's not. 'cause
But
this next part.
This hurts my soul.
This is where everything started getting extremely personal for me. Because, so, I guess we should have put this disclaimer at the beginning of the show. The title of the show may be offensive, mostly to people in England. And then there is a strong chance of strong language.
Strong.
Strong chance of strong language.
The language is strong with this one.
I am not happy.
May the swear words be with you.
Let's see. This doesn't have the video. So maybe this link has it. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
All right. So in beautiful California, LA to be precise, the city of angels. It's an amazing city, beautiful city, run to crap by communists. And
Literally. We'll get into that in a minute.
Lots of crap. They have new COVID restrictions from the douche canoe of a governor not Cuomo, but he is in that category. Newsom.
Newsom, yes.
And then
Cuomo's an asshat.
Thank you.
I can't not.
Strong language is coming out already. But then in L.A., the mayor of L.A. and then L.A. County is trying their best to outpace Newsom on their stuff. This poor lady. So in L.A., they told restaurants, you can't have indoor dining. You can do outdoor dining, though. So restaurants scramble to try to save their livelihood to make it so outdoor dining and or drive-by dining is possible. Some spending thousands and thousands of dollars.
And others just cutting a hole in their ceiling so that they can be outside.
Yep. Doing what they can to survive, because a restaurant is not an essential business, but a strip club is.
Yeah.
A church is not essential, but a strip club is.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that was in California or Nevada.
I think it was Nevada. Yeah. I think it was Nevada because I remember one of the churches decided to turn their church into a strip club so they can hold Sunday services.
But what's insulting about that, though, is...
Which sounds like something Nevada would do.
What's insulting about that is both were closed initially, and both appealed to the state under the First Amendment. Yeah. Strip clubs won under the First Amendment. Churches lost under the First Amendment, where the First Amendment, everyone has a right to freedom of speech,
freedom
clubs,
of assembly. It's your right to assemble
peaceably,
in any fashion that you choose, regardless of what it is.
There's no clause.
So it is your right to assemble inside a restaurant if you want. It's your right to assemble at the gym if you want. It's your right to assemble at church as you want, as long as you're peaceful.
As long as you're peaceful, and in the cases of restaurant and all that, it's private property.
And
so
I want to point out,
whim of the
it is not mostly peaceable. It is peaceable.
Yeah, so
if there is...
You can't have a van burning behind you?
There is a partially non-peaceful aspect to it. It is no longer legal and no longer a right. Just saying.
So this lady, what's her name? It's
Marsden.
Miss
Marsden.
She's a little upset at what LA has done to her and her business and her employees and her life.
Eric Garcetti.
So this is my place, the Pineapple Hill Grill and Saloon. If you go to my page, you can see all the work I did for outdoor dining, for tables being 7 feet apart. And I come in today because I'm organizing a protest, and I came in to get stuff for that. And I walk into my parking lot, and obviously Mayor Garcetti has approved this. Has approved this being set up for...
So for the listeners, there's giant tents with tables and chairs.
Canopies with tables and chairs. It looks like a Mormon barbecue.
set up for a big...
All 10 of their wives.
Yeah, set up for
got
a big
their own
lunch
canopies.
or whatever. It's in her parking lot, in her restaurant's parking lot that she can't open.
And she can't use.
There's these tents. And what are these tents for?
This being set up for a movie company.
Hollywood is essential, but a restaurant is not. I
want to know who's catering that.
Right? I want to know which, not only which film, but which company is filming that, so I can never watch any of their movies again.
Right?
Well, we have employees. Everyone else has employees.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a non-essential worker.
Yeah. See, one thing this shutdown of things has proven to me is I don't need concerts. I don't need Hollywood. But I do need a restaurant. I can cook. My wife can cook. We're really great at cooking food. But sometimes you just don't have time to cook something healthy and delicious with 3 kids screaming at you. So you want to go to a restaurant to get all that stuff. Well, you don't need to do that. Yeah, you just shut up. So this is a little upsetting to her because
It's literally in the parking
I'm
lot.
losing everything. Everything I own is being taken away from me. And they set up a movie company right
sent you a
next
$1,500
to my
check.
outdoor patio, which is right over here.
Yep, that's her.
she has
her
the
outdoor
same
patio.
damn tent that they have.
Exact same. Well, not quite exact same. They have canopies. She has an actual like big tent, but
it's
it
open-
doesn't have any
it's open to
sides.
the air.
So
the
it's
same
essentially a canopy,
thing.
only longer. Yeah. And see, I've watched this video a couple of times, and I'm with her up until a few seconds from now.
And people wonder why I'm protesting and why I have had enough. They have not given us money and they have shut us down.
Right
We
there.
cannot-
That is where she loses me. Because, yes, I am completely against them shutting everything down. And I'm completely against the way they've treated you and the way that they're using the other half of your parking lot for Hollywood and these things. And I am also entirely against them paying us a penny for anything.
Right. I understand it under the grounds of basically eminent domain or whatever you want to do, where your property's in the way of the highway. We're going to pay you for your house. And
Yeah. And that, but I'm against the handouts. I'm against
Yes.
the stipends. I'm against the $1,500 paycheck from the government, because that's not a paycheck from the government. That's a tax refund
Yeah.
that isn't being called a tax refund.
And we're going to freaking get into that too, because
But yeah, this is where she lost me, because then she starts arguing about, they need to do stimulus and they need to do,
she lives in
all
California.
these other things.
What's hard is it's hard to feel bad for people like her completely, because they voted for this. She may not have specifically voted for this mayor and all that stuff.
That's part of why she lost me here, because she's saying that she's going out and protesting, and it sounds like she's not protesting just to get her store open back up, but she's protesting for more of the bullshit that caused the problem in the first place.
Right.
You're not stepping back and looking at the problem and understanding what the problem is. The problem is not that the government hasn't helped you enough. The problem is that the government has interfered far too much in your life.
And you're refusing to help yourself.
Yes.
It's in New York. There's a bar owner that refuses to close.
Yes. I was going to say, you really want to have a protest? Open your shit up.
Yeah, that will irritate them. And the more people like her that do that, the quicker this ends.
Right?
Because the more people like that get thrown in jail because they violated orders,
The more that people are going to see how arbitrary this bullcrap is.
yeah. And especially when we get to later, all of this is tied together.
Everything.
In this long spiel of stuff. But anyways,
Even this next part, which actually wasn't really part of anything until about an hour ago.
Mayor Garcetti responded to her. He saw the video. He felt for her. He said, let's see.
He said, I care, but I really don't.
He said, my heart goes out to Miss Marsden and the workers at the Pineapple Hill Saloon who have to comply with the state and county public health restrictions that close outdoor dining. No one likes these restrictions, but I do support them, as our hospital ICU beds filled to capacity and cases have increased by 500%. We must stop this virus before it kills thousands of more Angelinos. Shut your pie hole, mister. I feel for you. I really do. But
This is one of the things that I think is like, it's hilarious in my mind, but it's really quite horrifying. Is he stated in there a lie that for some reason most Americans are believing, which is when he says
Wait. A wannabe dictator lied?
right, and he does it so nonchalantly.
Huh.
This phrase right here. Have to comply with state and county public health restrictions. No, just no.
And
you see,
the reason why
the
I can
way
say no?
the way America was built, the way it was established, and the entire purpose of our founding fathers
Was an oligarchy.
was the idea that you
Me.
do not own me. I own myself. And I don't do what the government says. The government does what I say.
What?
Yeah, astounding, right? Government doesn't actually have a right to tell you really anything about your life. That's what the Constitution was designed. It's not designed as these are rules that the people have to follow. It's designed as these are things that the government can't do.
So it's a negative constitution.
Yes. I don't have the right to free speech because the government gives it to me. I have the right to free speech because fuck the government.
Essentially.
Yeah.
To put it a little more nicely, there's something more powerful than the government that gives me that right.
There's lots of things more powerful than the government, but one
There's
thing
an
that's
entity.
actually probably upset at me for swearing like that. But anyway, it's a touchy subject.
Touchy. Just a little.
Touch. I'm a little annoyed in case
we're
you couldn't
just
tell.
Just touching
Just-
the iceberg.
Just getting started.
Don't worry, the whole thing isn't going to go quite like this. There's going to be a point where I'm just fire hosing through some data.
Yeah,
Everything
that's
that we got, like usual,
almost
we're gonna
the
be putting
rest
links
of
up.
the show.
Yeah, like we usually do. We're going to put the links up of everything we got, and you can go look at it yourself, make your own decision, blah, blah, blah. Don't take our word for it. All that fun stuff. Anyway, so it started getting personal there. Then it started getting even more personal. So in Utah, where we live, and yes, we live in Utah. I'm done with this. Whatever. We've moved back to Utah. We're back.
We moved back to
And
Utah.
this time,
We had a tragic boating accident and lost all our guns, so we moved back to Utah.
yeah, where we think it's safe.
We think it's safe.
Roll for initiative. So in Utah, they announced their plans for when they get the vaccine, for when the vaccine rolls out, and all this stuff. And as we've pointed out before, in Utah, they use the University of Utah as a benchmark for everything.
For everything.
It's how they measure how the state as a whole is doing, which is retarded because it's the most used hospital in the state. Because it is amazing with cancer, and so people from out of state come here to get their cancer fixed, and even from around the world come here to get their cancer fixed, along with other great things that the hospital staff and all that do at the U. But one thing that really struck a nerve is one of our friends that's a nurse at a hospital in Utah commented on the story, and the story said that I don't have the actual thing with me because it was my wife that saw it. But the headline to the story was Utah hospitals to receive COVID vaccine. Her comment on there, not my hospital. And that made me curious. What does she mean, not her hospital? All the I was under the impression that they're just going to send them out to the hospitals as much as they can. And I understood that some might get at least more doses than others because they're bigger hospitals, have more people there, blah, blah, blah. But then I did some digging. I found a story. I don't know what SF Gate is. Never seen it before, but they have what I was looking for. So here we are. Utah Health Department orders first round of COVID-19 vaccines. Salt Lake City, blah, blah, blah. Doses will be shipped directly to hospitals in Utah as soon as the Food and Drug Administration issues the final approvals. The first doses in Utah will go to frontline workers such as doctors and nurses. Makes sense. In emergency departments, urgent care facilities, and COVID-19 units, as well as housekeeping workers, blah, blah, blah. Said Dr. Jean-Marie Mayer, Chief of Infection Prevention at the University of Utah Health Hospital.
Jean-Marie Mayer.
As we scroll down here, 5 hospitals that have been treating the highest number of COVID-19 in the state will be the first to receive the vaccine. What are those 5 hospitals, I wonder? University of Utah Health.
Intermountain Medical Center.
Which is in the heart of the Salt Lake Valley. So, yeah.
LDS Hospital,
which is in Salt Lake, right?
Yeah.
Which is the most densely populated city in Utah.
Mm-hmm. Dixie Regional Medical Center, which is St. George.
Which is the...
Isn't it?
Yeah, St. George, which is the most populous area in the southern half. There's really nothing between St. George and Salt Lake.
True.
As far as population density is concerned. And then Utah Valley Regional Hospital, which is an IHC hospital. IHC, Intermountain Health. And I thought that was interesting because IHC is also one of the ones that have been the influencers for COVID restrictions in the state.
Utah Valley Regional, I think that one's Provo, isn't it?
Yeah, Provo or Orem. It's the same city. Really?
It is
it's
same
Utah
city.
County. It's in the middle of Utah County.
Yeah, Utah Valley Regional is Provo.
It's the largest hospital in Utah County.
Basically, you have 3 of the biggest hospitals in Salt Lake, the biggest hospital in St. George, and one of the biggest hospitals in Provo. So none of the hospitals in Ogden or up north, which that entire section is almost the same size as Salt Lake.
To put this in perspective, I think you know this because I told you, but if you had to guess how many hospitals are in Utah, what would you have guessed since?
I would say somewhere in the vicinity of 50.
Yeah, there's 50
or 60.
There's, I think, 54 hospitals, 52, depending on how they're counted. And the reason why I know this is because of something I'm going to get to in a little bit because of this story. I was 5 hospitals out of how many? 10%. 10% of
10% of the hospitals have 100% of the COVID cases.
And part of Utah's policy for COVID is to direct people to these hospitals.
That makes no sense.
Well, they're the most equipped to handle COVID.
Yes, but that also puts the entire density of the illness in
5 locations.
5 locations.
So then you can say the hospitals
So
are
then you can
filling
say
up
the hospitals are overrun when they're not?
because Utah, the U and IHC are the benchmark hospitals.
It also pulls money from every other hospital in the state because they're not getting COVID patients, so they don't get that money. They're not getting surgeries because elective surgeries are currently nixed because of COVID. They're not getting any of their other regular traffic because people aren't going to the hospitals because they're afraid of COVID. So you're trying to kill every other hospital in the state, is what I'm gathering from this setup. Huh. Interesting.
Almost like they're eliminating their competition.
Interesting.
Almost like they're using the state to eliminate their competition. Communism.
That doesn't happen
Communism.
in crony
It's communism,
crony corporatism.
which is communism.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to give it another word, but you're right.
Yeah. You might start hearing investor capitalism or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which is just a fancy way of saying
Marxism.
Marxism. communism.
Communism,
It's
socialism.
the exact
It's all the same
that
thing.
China has, where
All the same thing.
so in China, if you want to run a business, you can run a business so long as
well,
the government says that you can run that business, and you have a government official on the board in that business to make sure you do exactly what the government wants you to do in that business. Other than that, you can do anything you want.
it makes sense that we would be going after something that China already has, since they apparently have infiltrated our government.
Yeah, that's a thing.
See, I belong to a certain secret society. I don't believe I gotta mention its name.
You know? So, yeah, the hospital that this nurse works at, I'm not telling you what it is because I don't want to oust her in any way because she's amazing. But the hospital that she works at has beds upon beds upon beds sitting in the parking garage in the hospital because they're not being used. But the hospitals are filling up across the country.
Right.
Across the country. And the next thing that tipped me off. So here's how this is being laid out. I'm giving you a bunch of things that ticked me off over the weekend, because the prep I had beforehand was election this, dumb politician that, until I got triggered. And so I'm going through the triggers, and then we're going to hash out the triggers. The next thing that tipped me off that was even more personal than I care for it to be, for multiple reasons, was... I lost my page. There it is. In San Joaquin County, California. An 11-year-old boy shot himself in the head during a live Zoom instruction. So while he was at school, air quotes, at home, he killed himself. And the person that found it was his sister, who was also on a Zoom call in the room next door, because she heard a loud sound, went and found her brother, and it sounds like they were home by themselves, because she ran outside yelling for help, and a neighbor did that and all that stuff. And yeah, and as usual, everyone in the community, the family and all that, he was an amazing kid, helped out anytime he could. This, I'm not even kidding, this is extremely personal to me because of things in my life. And also I have a son who on Friday, we were at the park, playing at the park at the school, and he goes into this extreme anxiety mental breakdown because he can't play with any of the kids. And it's not that there were parents there keeping their kids away from other kids or anything like that. The kids that were there, it was at the end of the school day, so they were trying to go home and all that stuff. And there was only a couple of kids left that were going home, and he just broke down. And my wife and I made a decision when we first met that when we have kids, we want to homeschool our kids because we believe that to be the best way to teach our kids. My son is 5. He's working on multiplication. So there's that. He's also extremely social. And beforehand, my wife would hook up with other parents that are homeschooling and groups and activities, go on little field trips and little adventures and whatever. So he'd get to interact with other kids. And then we also had church where he'd interact with the kids at church. For the last 8-9 months, he's had none of that, for the most part. And so this point is going towards the uncounted deaths of COVID. COVID-19 is killing a lot of people, but it is killing more people than the actual virus is killing, because there's people that are suffering mentally, but we only apparently talk about mental illness when there's a mass shooting. That's the only time it's relevant to talk about mental illness. So there's a whole laundry list of stuff I got associated with that one. And then Nancy freaking Pelosi decided to
Lich Queen.
open her yap. And
I'm excited for this.
Mike hasn't seen this yet.
I haven't seen
He
this.
could
yet.
have seen it because it's in the drive.
I could have
But,
seen it, but
he-
I'm lazy.
And he doesn't really explore the drive. Um,
I'm not really lazy. I was just
The
studying
president
other
keeps telling
avenues
us
of things.
The virus is going.
Stop it. So Nancy Pelosi said something that really ticked me off on top of all this other stuff.
I really want to get a Nancy Pelosi sucks pen.
They're all sold out.
That's unfortunate.
According to Stu, they've bought every pen that looks like that, and they're all sold out. But anyways,
Maybe I'm just going to make a Nancy Pelosi sucks pen shirt.
I made this montage covering from August 20th, 2020 until just a few days ago when Nancy Pelosi decided to say the most arrogant, stupid, elitist thing ever. And that got me going. So here we go. This
see
is
it.
this is about 5 minutes of montage, and Joe Biden makes an appearance a few times.
And the president keeps telling us the virus is going to disappear. He
This is
keeps
August
waiting for a
20th.
miracle. Well, I have news for him. No miracle is coming.
So this isn't about the president. It's about meeting the needs of the American people. And
September
I'm very
15th.
proud of the work that my caucus has done. Now, let me just say this
October
in terms of
13th.
the numbers. I want people to do the math. We had 3.4, which would meet the needs of the American people for a
Talking about
sustained
relief
period
bills.
of time, so that there was some certainty in what would happen. The Republicans said no, well, so we took it down $1 trillion by cutting
Obviously
the time.
using Common
we took
Core
it down another
math.
$2 trillion, 200, excuse me,
As a Joe Biden moment.
$200 billion. So we're now $1.200 billion down.
$1.200 billion?
2.2.
People say, take the deal. It's-
October
there was no
18th.
deal. What deal? Was the deal one-sided? Take their bill? No.
This was
it wasn't
1.8 trillion. She was
possible.
turning down 1.8
It
trillion
wasn't
here.
possible. It didn't crush the virus. It didn't do any of the things it was supposed to do. So I'm pretty happy, not happy, I'm pleased at where we are now.
December 4th.
In your opinion, when
$908
problem solvers
billion.
had a much larger bill a few months ago, you
She's
did
willing
not
to
like
pass
that people-
$900 billion
What has shifted now when they're
without
on board with
checks
this
to
piece
individuals.
of the Senate?
Perhaps you missed what I said earlier. Joe Biden committed to ending and crushing the virus and having a Build a Better America initiative, Build Back Better,
Communism.
a vaccine, answer to our prayers, an answer to our prayers of 95% effectiveness in terms of
Pretty
Pfizer
sure
and
she doesn't
Moderna,
pray.
and there may be others coming forward. Now that is a total game changer.
Huh.
A new president.
This is what
and a
pissed me off was
vaccine.
this.
So
statement that
there's
she made.
nothing to. These are different. What was then before was not more of this. This has simplicity. It's what we've had in our bills. It's for a shorter period of time, but that's okay now because we have a new president. I'm going to tell you something. Don't characterize
What?
Same
what
thing
we did
answering another
before
question.
as a mistake, as a preface
It's December
to your
4th.
question, if you want an answer. That was not a mistake. It was a decision, and it has taken us to a place where we can do the right thing without other, shall we say, considerations in the legislation that we don't want. So it's not about an individual. It's about how
not about an
we
individual.
address the needs of the American people. So we're very pleased at where it is, and as I say, with a Democratic president committed to a scientific solution for this, with the idea that we will have a vaccine, it's a complete game changer from them.
Hi.
No miracle
Let's
is
recap
coming.
it.
A
Recap it.
vaccine, answer to our prayers,
No miracle is coming.
an answer to our prayers of 95% effectiveness.
No miracle is coming.
So this isn't about the president.
But that's okay now because we have a new president.
So this isn't about the president.
That is a total game changer. A new president and a vaccine.
We had 3.4, which would meet the needs of the American people.
It wasn't possible. It didn't crush the virus. It didn't do any of the things it was supposed to do. What was then before was not more of this. This has simplicity. That was not a mistake. It was a decision, and it has taken us to a place where we can do the right thing without other, shall we say, considerations in the legislation that we don't want. But that's okay now, because we have a new president. Perhaps you missed what I said earlier.
No miracle is coming.
An answer to our prayers of 95% effectiveness.
So this isn't about the president.
That is a total game changer. A new president and a vaccine. So we're very pleased at where it is, and as I say, with a Democratic president.
So this isn't about the president.
Committed to a scientific solution for this, with the idea that we will have a vaccine.
No miracle is coming.
It's a complete game changer from them.
What makes me amused, if it weren't so sad, is how you all think that you know more about the suffering of the American people than those of us who are elected by them to represent them at that table.
So I'm pretty happy. I'm pleased at where we are now.
What I think is sad is that you, the American people, think you know your suffering better than us that don't suffer do.
I about lost my freaking mind on December 4th when she said that. Because I remembered all those other things, which is why they're on there. I remembered her saying, this is not about the president.
So I actually...
But that's okay now.
I have a sound bite.
There's a new president.
I have a sound bite of the Congress meeting after she gave that speech.
Well, I had to be at that there crossroads last midnight. Sell my soul to the devil.
Well, ain't it a small world, spiritually speaking? Pete and Delmer just been baptized and saved. I guess I'm the only one that remains unaffiliated.
Thank you, Rand Paul.
Good Lord,
I am in no position to judge a person's soul, but she's going
to hell.
She's going to burn in the fire.
It's what I was saying. I don't think she actually prays, and if she does, she has really good makeup to cover up the burn marks.
Whoever her makeup artist is,
whoever does her makeup
is getting paid enough.
and that's saying something, because she still looks like an undead Lich Queen.
I mean, yeah, there's that.
There's that.
So that was my weekend that led me into research upon research upon research of why these dingleberries are wronger than wrong, and all of us need to stop doing what they're telling you to do, because they're wrong.
And they're also in the pocket of foreign governments.
Anthony Fauci was right at the beginning of this, and he was wrong in about April, May. And about April, May is when suddenly it was Trump's fault that there was a virus in the United States. And a bunch of studies that I'm going to point out ended. They stopped talking about them in about April, May, which is about when they started saying it's Donald Trump's fault. Yeah. So, let's see. How long have we been going? An hour?
An hour.
I guess, should we end with a cliffhanger, then get back to it? And
get back to it and do a second episode?
Do a second. Okay.
That would probably be good, because I gotta pee.
He gotta pee.
I gotta pee.
Your bladder is tiny.
I just drink a lot.
And I don't even get drunk.
This is terrible. This balance between being LDS and having to watch and listen to shit like this.
And you can't get drunk.
I can't
your sorrows away.
Drink the stuff that makes it better, so I have to drink the other stuff that makes it slightly better, but makes me have to pee a lot. And I'm out of this too, so I need more.
need more doctor.
Need more doctor. We're out of the doctor.
Yeah, we'll end it here, but we will be right back, and you will have to just hit play on the next episode.
Yep.
And we're going to go through a bunch of data behind all that stuff that I just shared, and then a couple of other fun
lovely
stories.
things So next week on The Naked Apple.
Well, it'll be this week. They're both coming out this
next hour on The Naked Apple.
Bye for now.
Bye.
And I'll find my way over to this.
I pushed the button.
Hopefully there's some lighthearted banner that starts before we get pissed off at the world. Righteous indignation.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. That's streaming. It's amazing how much I can't see when my glasses aren't on. Just slap these on. I can see. I can fight.
I think I put these in the wrong order.
Well, you're going to have to fix that because we're ready on this end.
Yep. I totally put it in the wrong order.
Shame. Shame.
Oh, well, I guess I will just find them as we go. Whoops.
All right.
All right. Let's do the
Do the thing.
Do the thing.